Hey friends, today I'm coming to you with a very special vintage gear demo, the 1969 Fender Bassman 50. And if you Google this one, you'll also see the words drip edge, which refers to the styling around the grill cloth that they did for a couple years. I think 68 and 69. This amp is 50 watts of tube power. As far as I can tell, it's the AB165 circuit. I'm not an amp guy or circuit guy. I like playing amps. I'm afraid to touch the insides of them, generally speaking, aside from, cleaning pots, changing tubes, biasing, things like that, but I don't mess with anything that can kill me. But in short, it's a very cool piece of rock history. This one has been modded with a three-prong grounded power cord, which I believe means it negates the ground switch on the back that you'll see on screen as the photos scroll by. And if you can believe it, for 1969 and 2022, this is not a crazy expensive amp, given how old they are and, kind of a classic era. Good luck buying a Fender 69 Stratocaster for, less than, I don't know, $5,000 or whatever they go for. I haven't even shopped them because it's so far out of my price range. But these guys, you can pick up for sometimes below $1,000, but pretty routinely, if you've got $1,000 to $1,500, you can pick up one of these amps, no real problem. So, first I'm going to give you my thoughts on the amps, a couple things I learned about this amp in particular while doing the demo. Then I'm going to just give you the overview of the demo, including what I'll be doing and the gear I'm using, and then just let you hear it. And of course, you can skip all of that talking at any time with the timestamps on the video itself. And if you choose to do that now, I would just ask that you please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I could really use the support. I've been making these videos for about a year and a half now, try to make one every single week. And there's no way to monetize YouTube channels without 1,000 subscribers. So none of the videos on my channel are sponsored videos as of now. Of course, if that ever changes, I will be sure to mark it and notify you at the beginning of each video. But all of these are just one guitarist speaking to other guitarists. And I love interacting with commenters, which is kind of a strange thing to say on YouTube. But I find the guitar community is a cut above the rest of the internet most of the time. So anyway, my thoughts on this amp. I love the clean tone. It's balanced, it's bright, and it gets a great rumbly low end without ever getting like muddy or unpleasant. My main wish about this amp is that I just wish it had reverb. I understand if the amp is designed for bass, it makes sense why they didn't put reverb on there. It's a big thing for guitarists, but I personally am so reliant on reverb that I have a hard time keeping any amp that doesn't have it. Now, you can put a reverb pedal into the front end of the amp, which I didn't do in this demo, but I may do in a follow-up demo, which sounds pretty good until you push the amp to breakup. Then front-end reverb pedals sound a little funny. That's, why you would normally use an effects loop for something like that, but this amp does not have an effects loop. The driven sound on this amp is incredible. I do use a attenuator so that I can push the volume up on this amp, and it gets that just like thick, rich, hot tube sound that's so often emulated by pedals. I think there's literally a pedal called Hot Tubes by Electro Harmonics that just has that velvety, thick, rich sound of like 6L6 tubes when they're really hot. And then, as is the case with every Fender amp I've ever played, this thing takes pedals very, very well. Now, a couple things that I learned while doing this demo, when I play an amp, I find the way I like it, and I set it, and I let it go. And I don't really fidget with things. But when I'm shooting a demo, I move all the knobs to every position and flip every switch. And so I discovered the bass knob, or tone pot, on the normal channel. It either doesn't do much or isn't working properly. My guess is probably the latter. It's not crackly, but I just don't hear a lot of change. I think I hear some, but probably not the full spectrum of change that you would expect. And then secondly, when you're on the bass channel side, the deep switch is either upside down, which would be pretty easy to have happen if you take the whole thing off. It's just two screws that holds that little on-off switch in position, and just flip it upside down and screw it back in. So either it's inverted or it is not working correctly. It sounds very thin when I switch it into deep mode, which probably means it's upside down. So for this demo, what I'll be doing is something that's common to my channel. Loop number 1 is my Hanson T-style guitar with a chord progression of 1, 6, 5, 4 and some lead work over it. And I use this to just keep playing, and hopefully it's kind of familiar if you've listened to some of my pedal demos or some of my other guitar demos, but I use this so my hands are free to just move every switch, every knob, roll to every position, see how things work. So that's the first thing you'll hear. The second thing you'll hear is a little chord progression done on my Stratocaster's neck position. That is the chord progression based on Satin Doll by Duke Ellington. And then I'll let that one go and start playing with some lead work just to do that. And then finally, I just do some random noodling that I have trimmed down. The video it was like 30 minutes. I really enjoyed playing with this amp. So I've graciously trimmed it down for you. Yeah, I could just go all day with this amp. So the gear using this is, as I mentioned, my Fender American Elite Stratocaster with Seymour Duncan quarter pounder pickups in it. So it's not a stock Fender sound, but really great sounding guitar. And then at the end of the video, I switched to my Heritage H150, which is in stock condition. So whatever pickups came with those, some kind of Seymour Duncans, I think. I also use a Bagheera, I think it's the PS1 attenuator. It's a passive attenuator. And I do that so that I can push this amp to the driven tones without all the neighbors calling the police. Now, an attenuator does impact the tone even when it's all the way open up. It is a subtle difference, but I think the spirit of this amp really still comes through. And you maybe lose just a little bit of the low end. And the PS1 in particular does reduce the overall volume, even though it's all the way up. I don't know why, but I know that's just true of this attenuator. So it just is what it is. I also use the Dr. Swamp pedal by T-Rex. And eventually I open the gain on that pedal all the way up, especially with the Heritage, so you can hear how the amp takes it. Spoiler alert, it sounds crazy good. And the Dr. Swamp, I've got a million drive pedals. I just picked one. I got that one not that long ago. I hadn't really used it, so I just used it as an excuse to play with that pedal a little bit. And the owner of T-Rex pedals' last name is Jorgensen, and that's my last name, so I felt like we had some affinity there. For the loops, I have them kind of permanently saved. Like I said, I use them in other videos, and that's the Donner looper. It's a looper and it's a drum machine, but I figure if I run the drum machine through there, it's going to be a little too crowded in that signal to really hear how the guitar sounds on the amp. And then finally, I run all of this through the Hot Rod Deluxe extension cab with the Jimi Hendrix-inspired Celestion G12H, which seemed like an appropriate area for a 69 Bassman. That's one of my favorite speakers, definitely my favorite Celestion speaker that I've ever played, and I think it sounds really great paired with this amp. So, without any further ado, please enjoy the demo.